Hello, and welcome back to the Psych Legal Pop Podcast. This is a podcast where we talk about popular culture through the lens of an attorney and a therapist. I'm Tess Brigham. I'm the therapist.
And I'm Brooke Brigham. I'm the attorney.
And we are back with Sister Wives, our Sister Wives coverage. This is season 19, episode 18, Money is the Root of All Evil. And oof, boy, was this a doozy of a show. If you are listening to this and you have not watched the episode and or not planning to, highly recommend watching this episode because there was so much good stuff in here. So much good stuff.
Yeah. People are not holding back.
No, not at all. Not at all. But before we dive into the episode, Brooke, you have a few Sister Wives related tidbits.
Well, we have some information related to last week's episode where, Cody cut down the tree.
Mm-hmm.
So Scott, who follows us on Facebook, gave an analysis of the tree.
Okay, good.
So we can understand. I know we talked a lot about this tree.
But I just want to say something else because I listened to other people's coverage. They too were with us about the tree. Everybody was on the same page. Everyone was like, what is happening here? This doesn't seem right.
Yeah. So, okay, Scott says that Cody mostly did everything wrong. That he started out okay, but then he screwed up the direction that he wanted the tree to fall. He says you always cut in the direction of a clearing. Mm-hmm. So that's why, it fell into another tree. And then he says, and Robin was no help. Who was watching the kids? Was he doing this to try to impress her? So
probably.
Good observations, Scott. Thank you. I knew that it was Cody. Cody was doing it wrong.
Mm-hmm. So
FYI. And then another listener, Renee, she alerted me to this. So apparently Garrison did have a will because Janelle was named the executor. If he hadn't had a will, it would have been an administrator as opposed to an executor. So we know that. And so his main asset was his house that he purchased, which, at a young age, I mean, what was he, 25 or something? He purchased that house in Flagstaff. And so it sold on December 26th for $388,650. And it also said Cody is not part of the proceedings. So I imagine he just left the house to his mother.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. Some people speculate that this has something to do with the rift that developed, between McKelty and Robin and Cody, that someone thinks that Robin said something, or maybe both of them maybe said something about the estate and that, well, why were we left out, or, something like that.
I've heard that rumbling of there was something that happened, something that Robin said that triggered McKelty at the service or funeral. But it is possible. I mean, maybe going to Janelle and saying, well, you owe us half of this, where it's like, no, kind of you don't.
No.
I mean, he didn't name you the executor.
Yeah, he didn't.
And I think he would have done that even if he and his father were at a different point. I think Garrison was always going to do that because Garrison saw how Janelle was treated in relationship to in relationship to Robin. I mean,
Robin had a big, comfortable house, and Janelle was living in an apartment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
I believe that Garrison was going to do that no matter what. Do you know what I mean? Even if things were, which is the right thing to, I think the right thing to do, or to his siblings. I don't know.
And in the timeline of the show, we're getting pretty close to the time when Garrison passed away. And I don't know, it's making me feel anxious, and I don't know what, how the show is going to handle it.
Mm-hmm.
But at this point, I don't know, the timelines are always so weird. And even within the same show, you're kind of like, okay, I kept stopping and looking. Okay, now, when did Janelle buy this property? And when did this happen? So I still think some of it is a bit out of order.
Yeah, because there's one point where we see with the Zoom with Christine that she's got holiday decorations behind her. And I'm like, oh, so they were married in October. So then is this
23.
December of 23?
Yeah.
And then we see snow, and I think we see post holidays. So you're right. We're getting closer and closer to that. But it is hard to know because last week, Cody's cutting down a tree. I mean, and there was no snow.
There's no
nothing.
snow.
And there's no snow in Flagstaff. So I guess it must snow a lot more in Salt Lake City than in Flagstaff?
I don't know. It's clearly winter in Utah.
Yes.
And it's clearly not winter in Flagstaff.
Yes.
This is not happening at the same time. I feel like the tree thing probably was filmed, right before, the production was wrapped up. Like it's a filler thing,
Maybe, but we do see them do that scene where he wants to start bashing on Christine and Robin stops him. And like, aren't we just so happy that Christine is getting married?
But they could have lied about that. They could have said, we're going to film a scene. Pretend like it's October of 2023.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would think in Flagstaff, it might not be snowing yet, but I think that's fall. It'd be kind of chilly. It didn't really look chilly outside.
Well,
I don't know. Who knows?
There's just too much good stuff to get into.
Too much
to worry about.
Yes. We can't worry about the seasons. So,
yeah. Well, there's so much here. We just have to go in order because I don't want to miss a thing.
Okay. Well, start us off here.
Yes. So we start off in Parowan with Meri and Jen. And, they're just working so hard that they are going to take a break and hang out on the porch. And this is pretty much where we see Meri the entire time. Mm-hmm. So this entire episode was about Coyote Pass. And it was so interesting because everybody was in their one spot. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Like Meri's on the porch. We've got Christine and Janelle over here. We've got we didn't see Robin, just couch Robin. And then we see Cody the whole time showing this guy around the property. But we meet Zona, who is Meri's dog, and they rescued each other. And we learned that Meri finally has hired an attorney, or looks like she's about to hire an attorney because there has been no movement on Coyote Pass. She also says she's been divorced from Cody for well over a year. Yeah. So
I looked this up. Her spiritual release was in late 2022. Mm-hmm. So this is late 2023 or early 2024.
Yeah, and that matches
the weather. She's like wearing shorts. It looks
that is true
outside.
Yeah, but did you catch this? Where Jen, I don't know if it was Jen who said it. I think it was. One of them said, "Isn't this nice how we're sitting out on the porch together?" And Jen said something like, "Don't you love that?" And I'm like, "Ooh, that was a little subtle dig." I'm like, Meri is not a friend of Robin's. I mean, I don't know how good of friends they were, but Meri is not a fan of Robin's anymore. And she used to be a fan. I was like, oh, interesting. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so Meri, like a normal person, emailed Janelle, Robin, and Cody and said, hey, what's happening with this property that we just paid off? Mm-hmm. Not just paid off, because they had to have the property paid off by mid 2023, correct? Like, wasn't it May of 20? Wasn't that around?
I don't remember.
So the property had been paid off for a while.
Yeah.
And, as one of the people that owns part of the property, you would think, you would have the right to write an email and say, hey, what's going on?
Well, she's tried to communicate. So Cody has not affirmatively reached out to communicate anything. Mm-hmm. And whenever Meri asks questions about the property, he says, I'll let you know when this involves you.
Yeah.
Excuse me?
Fuck you.
It does involve me. I'm part owner of this property, asshole.
Yeah. Well, and that's why Meri's taking these steps. And Jen reminds her, listen, you wouldn't, Meri's like, oh, I feel terrible taking these steps. And Jen, who is a very good friend, Meri needs someone like Jen. I think mm-hmm. Jen had really propelled. I think Meri would still be in this marriage without Jen. Like Jen is like, no, you wouldn't have had to take these steps if you were treated like you didn't contribute. Like, no, Meri, you have the right to take these steps. You contributed. You are part of, like, stop questioning this. And Meri talks about how she will ask questions to him and she gets brushed off. And it's just so rude. And so it's unreal. But the best is Christine. Christine's like, when I left Kody, I didn't want to have anything that tied me to him at all, any way, shape, or form. She didn't like dealing with him at all for anything, especially finances.
Yeah.
He must have been a nightmare. He must have been, and that's what they describe, right? That basically either it was Kody's way, or if you disagreed with Kody's way, he would just badger you and talk to you until you finally just say, fine.
So you give up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Christine would have just left with the clothes on her back.
Yeah.
If she had to. She was lucky that she owned that house by herself and she was able to keep the money, and there's nothing Kody could say about it, really. And but I think even without that, I think she would have just left.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, she said, that's what she said. She said, I knew I had to leave Kody and I didn't know anything else.
Yeah.
Like, that's all. She just had to get away.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And so Jen is badgering Meri, because it sounds like Meri's kind of going back and forth a little bit. Like, yeah, I talked to him. I got to get this stuff together. But Jen's like, no, you got to pull the trigger on this. Like, you got to do this.
Because that's how Meri has been dealing with Kody her whole life. She thinks that if she's nice enough to him and stays on his good side, that somehow, you could attract more bees with honey than vinegar, but not with Kody.
Well,
it doesn't work with him.
But this is the other problem with all of this is this whole segment about Meri. And I think that's one thing that I think Meri has always come across as this very strong person. And I think what we're seeing a lot of now is, Meri she came across as strong in a lot of ways, but that really the conditioning from this religion, the conditioning that she grew up with, is why she is, this is why this is so difficult. Because my guess would be that by her hiring a lawyer to fight this, to go against Kody's wishes, that is in complete opposition to everything that she has been taught her entire life. And so for some of us, the idea of like, why would you put up with this? Like, just do it. But like for Meri, it's very clear. You can see, I think I understand Meri so much more now. Like, you can see very clearly she feels like she doesn't have the right to ruffle feathers, because I bet you anything that was the message she got as a kid. And then I bet you she married Kody, and every time she had a problem, he'd be like, Meri, stop, you're too much. But I thought this was also interesting where Meri's talking about how Kody loves to pull legal jargon out of his ass. Like, he'll just throw legal words. And she says that she never knows if he's telling the truth. I was like, interesting. Very interesting. Because I don't think we've ever heard her call him a liar. Do you know what I mean? I mean, that means that you don't trust him, and I can see why, but we've never heard something like that before, whether he was an untrustworthy person.
Yeah. Well,
yeah. Anyway, Jen tells her, you got to stop being gentle. It's time to be a cactus. Be pokey. I was like, yes, Jen. And the other thing too is Meri she talks about her conversation with Janelle and how she had her walls up with Janelle, and she owns that part of it. Like, and I think we're seeing this growth here of like, I had my walls up, I didn't give her anything, but Jen reminds her, listen, the only person that's been really truthful and honest and straight up with you is Janelle. So maybe that's the person you need to focus on.
Yeah. No, Meri's had some time to, to realize all these things. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Anywho, so now we're at Coyote Pass and Cody's going to show the property to this real estate guy, Justin Bemis.
Yeah. And, Justin from the beginning did not like Kody. I'd be very surprised if Justin was still his realtor, because he says, he talks about how, Kody comes up, he's walking funny. He's got this crazy hair. Cody's Cody's really turning on the, hey bro, like
Yeah.
I'm a cool bro, just like you. And every time the camera is on Justin's face, Justin has this look on his face like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. Is this really happening to me? Like, is this guy for real? Because Kody is just saying the most nonsensical things.
Well, you just met this guy, Kody.
Yeah,
right? Like,
calm down.
Yeah, I mean, but it's almost like they were on like a date or something. Like your friend tells you about this date they went on, and you're just like, oh my God, I can't believe you did all that. Like almost like the date sat down and was like, hi, I haven't been in a relationship in a long time. My last boyfriend did this to me, or my last girlfriend did this.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That person that just spills everything like word vomit out, and you're like, whoa,
Yeah.
But the other thing too is that Kody is he is so easily able to, he just starts talking to this guy. Like,
yes, telling him his life story.
Yes. Making jokes. He's got a tight 10 of ex-wives jokes.
Yeah.
He's doing like 5 minutes at Comedy Cobbs or whatever. The Chuckle Hut.
Yeah.
In Ohio or something here.
Yeah. And he's talking about how, he's got these other businesses and he's going to have to move. He's got these trailers, vans. He's got this huge flatbed, and he's talking about, this stuff is for my businesses. And it's like, what businesses are you?
Yeah.
Maybe the flatbed was, wasn't he doing something with selling cars? Or remember when he tried to get the cars into that trailer?
Right. I forgot about that. But they didn't measure the trailer or the car to make sure that you could actually do something.
Of course not. So they're like, let's just get a flatbed. We don't have to worry about constraints of size. We just put it up there.
Well, he said some businesses that he had to mothball because they were unsuccessful.
Yeah.
That's an expression I've never heard before.
Yeah, it's a failed business.
Yeah. But I love how he's talking to him like he's this entrepreneur where, oh my God, I've had all these businesses, and you see all these successful ones over here, but they're not all were winners. There are these over here. It's like, what successful business would you like to point to, please?
Yeah.
Like, no.
Obviously, this property's been a big failure. He's talking about how, he built this property to have this big house because he's got this big family, but now he's just got a big divorce. And and they keep panning to Justin's face, and Justin is just like, he's kind of, what's that word? He starts shell-shocked looking.
Yeah.
What the fuck is happening? And Cody's just fast talking. And then he starts talking about how, I have this here because I was hauling water for an ex living in the RV on the property. Well, that was bad, especially if there's dogs in the RV. I mean, he's just going.
Yeah, I'm telling you, this was his tight 10 at the Chuckle Hut. Like, he's doing comedy now. You don't want to try that. But even worse when they have dogs. Yeah, he basically says, I have three other partners. 2 are my exes, so they're not very civil relationships. Since we've gone public, we talk to the public, and they say things about me, and I think, I'm never going to talk about them. I'm never going to talk to them again about that. And then I think, well, then I say things, and then, it's like, but he's talking about how that this Justin guy should know about the show. I mean, he's obviously filming for the show.
Knows, yeah.
But it's a little bit like, okay, since we went public, they said things about me, like, okay, to the public? Okay. He's just rambling.
He's manic.
Yeah.
Manic.
Yeah. Like, they say things about me and I don't like them, but I do the same thing and they probably don't like me. And you're like, oh my God, we're both guilty of this. And then, okay. And then he's like, so when you have an offer, you can just send it to me and I'll present it to them. It's like, yeah. Kody, isn't that legally he has to give you the offer, right? And shouldn't you legally tell your partners what the offer is?
Yeah, well,
doesn't a real estate agent have to tell you about every offer you receive?
Well,
legally,
yes, but also too, when you sign a listing agreement with an agent, every person who owns the property is supposed to sign it.
Oh,
he actually, the realtor, Justin, I believe, I don't know what the law is in Arizona, but, I think he would have to tell all of the owners because it's a global offer and they're owners and they can't sell it without their consent.
And that's the other thing too, is Cody's acting so magnanimous by being like, okay, and then I'll show it to them. It's like, I think legally you have to. I think, but also him saying, well, hey, you know, when an offer comes in, you tell me. It's like, again, he has to, when an offer does come in, he has to tell you, Cody, like, you really don't get this at all.
Right. But I also think the realtor has an ethical obligation to tell them, because who's to say Cody tells them about the offer? If Cody doesn't like it, he can just not tell them.
Yeah.
And how would they know? You know, they have a right to know.
Yeah. But he's acting like he's such a great guy because he's willing to tell them about the offer. It's like, no, you know.
But then he goes back to talking about how he has 2 exes nagging him and he calls them total nags. I guess because they want what is rightfully theirs.
Because they were married to you for all of these years and they paid into this property that you convinced them that they should have. And they now left you and they want what they contributed back. Oh, what a crazy women. What a bunch of nags. And that Meri had the audacity to email you.
Right.
And that Janelle had the audacity to hire an attorney. Oh my God, what nags these women are.
Yeah. Meri, who made the most money on her own outside of the show.
Yes.
And contributed the most to this marriage. And Meri seems to be a good moneymaker, manager, because we learn later like how much she paid for everything herself.
And how much of Leon's stuff she paid for. Yeah.
And the family money paid for, you know, family money that she contributed to paid everyone else's bills. I mean, this is very unfair. I mean, I can't believe I have completely turned around how I feel about Meri.
Yeah, this really made me think about Meri in a different way.
The last couple episodes. Yeah.
Giving him the t-shirt blanket back, like ripping that I feel like that was a backslide, you know, but everything else I've been with you, Meri. But then Meri does say, she says, listen, you know, he says he didn't love me. He didn't want to be married to me. So any communication with me, it's, I'm probably am a nag, aren't I? I like this new Meri. I'm like,
I do. She's calling him out.
So then we learn, we get the whole thing about it's 14.1 acres, 4 parcels. And we go through the whole parcel thing. And then Cody starts talking about how, oh God, this place is just a place of heartache for me. I just don't know anymore.
This is where my dream died. He's just trauma dumping on poor Justin.
Thank you. Yes, he is trauma dumping on Justin. That is perfectly said.
Ugh.
Okay. And then here we are, we're bebopping along. And I think this is what it is. I think that Cody is so exhausting that truly he had to have 4 wives because he's so goddamn exhausting. And now that he's down to 1, I think I understand why Robin, because we cut to Robin. It's like, this is the last thing that connects us as a family. This is the last, I can't believe everything changed. I mean, people have laughed about how, is she medicated? What's going on? What's happening? But I think he has sucked the life from her.
Yes.
I think she's barely hanging on.
And I hate to say it, I am kind of starting to sympathize with Robin.
Uh-oh.
I know. I'm sorry. People don't hate me. Like, I still think she's very manipulative and all of that. But like you said, I think having Cody full time and him trauma dumping on her full time and having to hear about the divorce and the nagging exes and this and that full time, I think she's miserable. And I think she is medicated. She's medicating to survive. I don't know what she's slurring her words. She is so just dead inside. Something's really going wrong with her.
Well, and I finally paused the episode and I really took a look at her eyebrows.
Yeah.
And I'm with you now. I see now, like, they're really bad. The one is much larger than the other one. They don't match. And that's what I do wonder too. Like, if she is medicating, like, is she like, can she see? Can she see? Can she put the eyebrows on?
Yeah.
again, I think that it's hard to have these really, really high standards if you have to be on TV all the time to look perfect. I mean, I'm sure if I was on a TV show, you'd get me with a chip nail polish right now. Like, I can't be perfect, but it is interesting just how the show's bebopping along, and then she shows up, and it's like, wah, wah, wah,
Yeah.
like the whole energy drops, and that's when I was like, I think he's sucking. I mean, I would not. He's an energy vampire.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised that at night he just bears into her and sucks all of her energy, and she doesn't. She wakes up every day and goes, I don't know why I'm always so tired.
Yeah. I mean, he's so manic, and anyway, yeah. I'm starting to feel for her a little bit. I'm sorry. I can't help it.
Yeah. So Kody and Justin decide, well, let's walk the property. Justin's got to get a real sense of it. And Cody's like, well, let's walk the property. So fun.
Poor Justin. I need an update on Justin.
Yeah.
Well, they haven't sold the property, so.
Well, can we find out who the listing agent is on the property, or is there not one attached?
I don't know. I mean, they could have taken it off the market. I mean, again, this is a year ago, or
I guess so. Yeah.
I don't know when this was. We don't know. Time is a mystery on this show, so we don't know. We don't know. I mean, I feel like why isn't this should be on TikTok? Like, someone should have investigated this. Someone
maybe
out there,
it is.
please, who has access to these records. Let us know.
Yeah. So this is the Janelle Zooms with Christine, and this is where we see holiday items behind Christine, and Janelle is in Flagstaff, and so basically, Janelle and Maddie tell Christine that they bought, or their offer was accepted for 165 acres in North Carolina. So Coyote Pass is 14 acres.
Yeah.
And that seems like a lot of property. 165 acres.
Now, can I say something? I'm worried for Janelle.
I'm very nervous about this business. I don't like this at all.
Okay. I Googled this. So this isn't 100% guaranteed accurate. This is just Google. Apparently the purchase price for this land is $289,000.
Okay.
It is in a town, if you want to call it that, with a population of 722 people.
Okay.
It's called Chocowinity, North Carolina. It is, I think, about half an hour outside of Greenville, which is where they live now. And they're saying that they want this to be, I guess they're going to grow flowers. People come to pick flowers. They might have some cabins that they can rent, maybe an event space.
Yes, that's what they're envisioning.
I can see the event space if you want to have like an outdoor wedding and you're coming from, I don't know, Greenville is much bigger, but I don't think it's not like it's not a huge city. Raleigh, I think, is the closest big city, but that's a ways away. I mean, can you make money off of this property in a town of 722 people?
Yeah.
In the middle of North Carolina. I mean, is there really a base that can support this? I just feel like this feels very Coyote Pass like.
It feels like they have this, like, she's had this dream. Janelle's had this dream of having land, I think, right? It sounds like Maddie, and Caleb have all had this dream of having land. Okay. But I'm with you. I'm very nervous about how they're going to be able to make money from this, because I don't think that selling flowers and being a flower farmer is easy. Again, we've talked about this, that these urban farms that people have, that people think are just so much fun to be a farmer. Isn't that great? It's like, no, it's not. It's really hard. So I think it's very hard. I think that flowers are tricky because they die.
They're delicate.
They're delicate. They die. I'm sure we've all seen this. I had a situation where, Steve sent me flowers and they were dead by the time they got to me, because there was some sort of process in they were shipped and the process went bad. Like, I think there's a lot of those pieces of things that you have to worry about? I mean, are they going to be selling them to places who's going to sell the flower? Do you know what I mean? It's like, there's a lot of logistics and things that they have to figure out. Like, what's your place in this? Are you going to sell direct to consumer or not? But
there's heavy equipment involved. You know, you've got to buy all this heavy equipment that's very expensive to grow or farm anything.
And then
and if people, I'm sorry, but if people are just coming there to pick their own flowers, that's not going to bring in a ton of money. First of all, there's not a lot of people around there. There's not enough people who are going to come. And what? They come and they pick like $20 worth of flowers.
Yeah, I think that if this place was like on, like people could access it, like it's from one place to another, then I could see that people would stop for the day. But yeah, I mean, how are you going to make this an event space? Like the event space, I think, is the one idea that actually would work, which is make it a place where people could get married and have events, have enough housing so that everybody can stay, and then make it sort of a little bit of a destination wedding kind of place. I can see maybe that working. The rest of these ideas, I'm very, very nervous about. I really am. And I just don't think it's going to be as fun as they think it is. I just don't.
Yeah, it's, and I don't know what the property looks like. They kept showing these kind of stock photos of, flowers, like real, flower growing, farms. I don't know. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of land. That's a lot. And maintaining land is expensive, especially, I don't know. I'm just very worried.
Yeah. I know they're selling merch now, which is
probably
smart.
making the most money.
Yeah. Which is very, very smart. I think what people are finding is merch is probably the best way to go. If you're famous, but I'm nervous. But they did say that flowers are a big business in North Carolina. So if it's a big business, is there too much competition? Like, I want a business plan. I want to see what's happening here. I'm just nervous
even my sister wife's closet had a business plan.
Yeah.
I hope they have a business plan.
All right. Well, we go back to Parowan.
Well, wait, one thing Janelle said, she said that Coyote Pass never happened because Cody had a comfortable home with Rob and he was in no hurry. And she said, in retrospect, she was glad that it didn't. Because she's happy.
I mean, listen, I'm happy she's in North Carolina. I think that this is a better direction for her than being on Coyote Pass or trying to make it work or whatever it is. But even still, I don't know. I just, okay.
Yeah.
So Parowan, Meri says she just sent that email. We're back to the email. She just sent the email to start a conversation. And Cody's response, apparently, when she kind of pushed back and said, hey, what's going on, is I've been talking to all the right people. And apparently Janelle said the same thing. Janelle repeated that to Christine, like, I've been talking to all the right people. And Cody claims, this is the best, Cody's like, I was really nice in this email. My ex-wives are asking for a favor and I'm tired and I have a lot to do. So he's treating basically what he sees as Janelle and Meri are nagging him about this, that he is just being so kind and so nice. But he just can't put up with it anymore. He's just so tired.
Yeah, he's being so nice to what? Answer their texts. I mean, doing them a favor.
Yeah.
What favor is he doing?
I swear to God, this man thinks, and this is Cody to a T. All Cody thinks about is himself. That he's tired, that he's owed something, that he's all these things. It's like, yeah, okay, Cody, I got it. Yeah, you were the head of this family and you were running from thing to thing and you were having to deal with all this stuff all the time. Guess what? So were these women. They too were working, but he cannot possibly, all he can see is his contribution and what he wants and what he thinks. And of course, these two women who have contributed to his life and to his success, which women do all the time, they're nags now. It just,
Well, and it's probably more stressful for him now financially because he doesn't have them. They're all separate financially. So it's just him, and Robin's never brought in any money outside of the show. And Janelle talks about this later. where she said she started a business. I think she's talking about the Plexus stuff. I guess she started that when they were still, kind of together or whatever. And then she basically left with that. And Cody is saying, hey, wait a minute. I get some of that, like, because you started it when you were with me. And she's like, no, like, I'm sure he never did anything towards it. But that's the thing. He's seeing all this money walk away. And so he's stressed.
Yeah. No, he is very, very stressed. Again, they just bought. I mean, they managed to come up with enough money to purchase this new house of theirs. So they're not struggling that much.
I'm convinced that someone gave them a bunch of money. Like, I don't know if it's Robin's family.
Does her family have money?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think it was a lot of money, but I think because they had to put down, like, what was it, 300,000-400,000? I'm sure someone gave them money for that. And, because Cody's always robbing Peter to pay Paul and juggling things around. He never thinks about, the long term or the big picture or anything. So somehow he got into that house, but I don't, I guarantee you that he had some help with that.
Yeah. Oh God. But I mean, this was kind of not the beginning of it, but I just was like, oh, tide's turning right now. Like they got Cody on a day here. He must have been listening to one of his Manosphere podcasts on the way to this meeting, because he was just on fire. So mad.
Yeah. So, and then Meri starts to get into her, finances, and, he only wants to give her 2 acres because she doesn't have as many kids. And then Jen says, but you paid equally. I would say she probably paid more than equally. And then she says that when they had their family fund, when everything was together, she contributed money that went to the other kids, not her kid, but the other kids' college, went to the property, everything, but not to Leon's college or car. Meri paid for that. She also says she made all the payments on her house in Las Vegas. And again, Robin didn't have, other than the show, she never had any outside. So she had to have been getting disproportionately more help from the family fund,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah. And this whole thing about the one child thing keeps coming back. And listen, we were the ones saying that there are times where Meri absolutely needed to probably step aside in certain ways because she has one child, but not when it comes to property and not when it comes to this. Like if she equally contributed, then she gets an equal portion of it. I think the thing is with her was that the way in which they treated everything, it seems like they would adopt these, I don't know how to describe it. It was almost like they adopted these solutions that never really worked, that never felt fair. And it was almost like, well, we have to do it one way the whole time versus, again, if you were a good leader, Cody, you could have made it so that there are times that Meri absolutely needed to get equal. And there are times that, there was money was finite and that maybe Meri needed to make some compromises because she had only one kid.
Yeah, like the big rental.
The big rental is a great
rental house when they had no money,
Yeah. The rental is a good example. But like if they're all going to have these homes in the cul-de-sac, then okay. I understand Meri's house needs to be just the same. But and then Cody goes right in about the wet bar. I mean, Cody's like, well, Meri can't complain because she got the wet bar. And of course, Meri's like the stupid wet bar.
Yeah. And she's like, and I made every payment on, that house with the wet bar.
And she talks about this. She's like, I didn't want to cause a problem because, again, Cody really set this up with her. I didn't want to cause a problem because she was already being told you are a problem.
Right.
You need to correct your behavior and be nice and be better. So I bet you anything, Meri was like diligently paying into this fund and being like, okay. And maybe Meri asked for money from the fund. And Cody's like, no, you need to do this, or you're asking too much. And she's like, okay. And then she's going to pay for this stuff herself. it's unreal. But I think it's the way she grew up. But this is a very female issue. Like this too much. As a woman, you're not supposed to be too much. I got a lot of that too in life. You're too much, you talk too much, I'm too loud, too this, too that, you're too this. It's like, God forbid. Psych Legal Pop. We'll be back after these messages.
Yeah. I mean, they had this way of kind of shaming her. So she would, be small, get small. And, so yeah, I don't know. Yeah. It's this to be continually told that, well, you only have one child, so you don't need more than 2 acres. That's insane.
Yeah. Well, and also I feel like Meri would have been more malleable and more accommodating if she wasn't set up this way. If she didn't feel like she had to fight for a place because she had one child. I think that if she felt celebrated and seen, then I think that maybe she wouldn't be. But I think she felt like she had to like fight for every territory, any little inch that she could have to prove her worth.
Yeah.
So, yes. Well, so Meri says that she wanted a man. This is where she and Jen start talking about dating, right?
Well, just before we get into that, I wrote down something she said. She said that when you're talking about how she was just trying to, kind of get along with, make everyone happy. She said, Cody forced her into submission by withholding love and affection and time. And I thought that was interesting.
Oh, yeah.
And then she said that she always wanted a man that would take care of things and her as well. And that she put a lot into the marriage financially and emotionally and didn't get anything out of it. Because Cody didn't take care of her, even financially.
No, he didn't. It doesn't sound like he ever really took care of her financially. And he wasn't kind to her or nice to her. I mean, I definitely think that withholding of love is such a cruel
it is. It's really cruel.
And, I know parents sometimes will do this with their kids. They're mad at their kids. They'll withhold love. And I think one thing that mom did really well is anytime we got into a fight, she was always very good about being able to be like, okay, it's over. Let's move forward. Like back to like talking to you nicely, we're done, we're out. And I think she did and I think because our own mother's mother was not mentally well, I don't think she did that. So I think mom wanted to model that for us. And I'm always constantly amazed when I hear about this, like how much people will just dig in and like, you're mad at your kid, but your kid's doing typical kid things. They're being a kid. And then, you're mad at them and you think you're showing them or
the silent treatment.
Yeah. That's the silent
like one
treatment.
of the worst things you can do.
Yeah.
Psychologically, I think to someone. Yeah.
And people do this in relationships and all of it.
Yeah.
It's a very immature thing to do. I just want to say
it is. So then they get into the dating, and Jen says it's time to get you some, Meri.
Well, yeah, I just wrote down. Speaking of lubricant, I don't know how we got on the topic of lubricants, but yeah. And then we see a coyote on Coyote Pass. I was so thrilled. I was like, oh, there's a coyote on Coyote Pass.
How ironic.
Yes. How long have they shown that a million times? Is that Probably. Just the first time I've seen?
Probably the first time, because you're always taking notes.
I know.
You got to look up and see the pictures.
All right, we go back to our Zoom call.
Back to the Zoom, the 3-way Zoom. And Janelle says that she has hired a lawyer, and she says it's for separation of assets, which she says that's all I can get. So
what does that mean?
I think it means, like, I don't know. In California, we call it a partition. If you co-own property with anybody, you can force the sale of the property. So I think it's just a similar term. And when she says that's all I can get, because obviously they weren't legally married, so she can't get any kind of, alimony or but they do own assets together. So, and yeah, so, and then they were discussing, the acreage and stuff. And I did a little math. I mean, it's ridiculous. Meri actually only owns 1.33 acres, not even 2 acres. Janelle owns 2.43 acres. And together, Robin and Kody own 10.13 acres. Wow. Cody's on every single one of these properties. And this is unreal.
Yeah. Well, we learned that Kody, because Christine wants to know what's going on. And apparently Cody's super wishy-washy. And was this what she was saying, that there's no reassurance from him?
And basically he's not saying, oh, don't worry about it. I'm going to do this. I'm working. He literally just blows them off. Like, I'm talking to the right people. I'll let you know when you're on a need to know basis. I'll let you know when something happens. Like, won't even give them any assurances that they're going to get their money or, that he's doing anything.
And he's so mad. He's like, they're not mind readers. Kody acts like he's doing so much,
anything
to sell this property. It's like, no, you're using the property as your own storage space. And apparently an entertainment space, as we've seen for next week.
Right.
You're using it as that. And I got a crazy idea. Why don't you communicate with them? And if you feel like you're doing so much, then why don't you say, hey, I'm doing a lot. Can you do this? It's like, you can see how poor his communication is and how he wouldn't. It sounds like and I guess maybe when they all lived in one house, it all worked. But the communication is horrible. He tells them nothing and then he's resentful.
Right. And you know what? I just thought of something. Technically, I think that he owes them rent. Because he is using that property. He's using it to store all that shit. He's using it for recreationally. They were doing the 4-wheelers.
Yeah. That's true. Yes.
He is making use of the property and occupying it. So technically, he owes them rent.
Is that how that works? If you own property with someone and you're using it, do you owe them rent?
Yeah, it has value. Yeah, there's value in what he's doing.
Yeah.
So just thought of that when you said, he's using it to store all that stuff.
But we learned that Christine, on her own, bought a home in Moab to make it a short-term rental property, which is very exciting. I really, now that I've seen all these photos or videos of Moab, I really want to go there.
I know.
And now we can stay in Christine's rental property.
Ooh,
that would be very exciting. Yes. And so we get into the whole thing of, and I think this is what we're seeing very clearly is, about they start talking about FLDS and how women don't have any autonomy because they weren't on these properties. And I'm sure Kody felt so magnanimous all the time. I'm sure he felt like such a great guy because he actually let these women be on property, like their names on it. But
he's doing them a favor.
Yeah. He's being nice by letting them do that. But what we're seeing is exactly why this this kind of system and this marriage doesn't work, which is, it gets super messy. It gets messy on who owns what to whom, but also the women need to have, you need to have something in your name. You need to have something that belongs to you.
This is abuse. This under domestic, what do they call it now? Not domestic.
Financial abuse.
Yeah, it's under that umbrella of
coercive control. No.
Just that whole kind of. They don't call it domestic violence anymore. They call it
intimate partner violence.
Anyway, coercive control. One of the elements of it is exactly what Cody's doing and has been doing is this financial control.
Yeah.
And they've been trying to get out from under it. And this is like the last thing that he's clinging on to. And I think that's a lot of it is that he loves having this kind of control over them because he's pissed. He's still bitter, about the divorces and everyone leaving him and the kids and all that. So he's punishing them and he's using this as a way to punish them. It's all he's got left.
Yeah.
Is this property to hold over their heads.
Well, and I think for a lot of these men, that's all they have. And there's somebody in our life that we know who used money as a way of kind of lording it And yeah, when you don't have that anymore, it's like you realize like, okay, what are you going to do to me?
Yeah. What do you?
Okay.
Yeah, totally.
But we learned that Christine, I guess, had always wanted to do this and always wanted to do this short-term rental property, always wanted to buy property. But I guess Cody was such a dick or so difficult to deal with.
He can never get anything done.
And so Christine told David that this is what she wanted to do. And David, David gets shit done. David makes things happen. And we learned from Janelle that David's way more fun than Cody. Well, just wait till Cody hears that. Cody is going to lose his mind. You know what she should have said? You're a much better dancer than Cody. That would have killed him.
Yeah, I know. I wonder, do you think Cody's ever going to start talking shit about David after? Yeah, I
think next season 20
or maybe David. Next week. It could come at any time.
So yeah, and so now we go back to Coyote Pass. Okay, this was the best. Cody's like, well, Justin, I paid for, he basically tells us how he paid for one of the lots himself, completely by himself.
How's that possible?
How did you
don't have any money?
Yeah. So what? It was the money that you got from TLC for you? Just you? Because if it was for the show, it wasn't just yourself.
Your money. Yeah. Yeah.
But I love how he has to measure dicks with Justin. He has to I paid for this all by myself. But what, we're going to divide the money 4 ways. I'm like, okay. Why do you need to tell Justin that? What is,
he's making a record. He's just making a record.
No, I know he's making a record.
Yeah.
No, I know that's part of it. He's boasting and he wants to seem like a big shot, and he's making a record. Doesn't mean he's going to do it. And this gets into his whole thing about how Janelle thinks about screwing me over all the time. She would go after alimony and support payments and everything. The exes are just interested in the money. And here's the thing, right? So here they are trying to protect themselves. Here they are trying to build a life for themselves and for their children and for all of it.
His children, yes.
And they're trying to do that. And it's like, all they care about is the money. It's like, yeah, this is the final piece, Cody. That's all they care about. They want to leave, because this is like you said, this is the one thing that he has control over. And money, and unfortunately or unfortunately, this is survival. And so, yeah, they do. Is that a terrible thing?
Again,
Cody, you paid for this. Your life was to be broke.
Yeah.
That's worrying about money, correct?
Yeah, I know. And again, they paid into this. They worked, paid. He acts like he just, put them on title for no reason.
Well, and this is where Cody's like, sorry, ladies, you left me here holding the bag. I just don't know what to do. But this is where the producers are trolling him, because they go right to Meri, and Mary's like, I've offered to help. Crickets,
Oh, I'm sure she would love anything to move this along.
Yeah, I'm sure Janelle would be happy to.
Yeah.
They can get, Meri and Janelle together can get shit done. So I'm sure they would. But God, I just left me holding the bag. I just don't know what to do. You just told us you know a bunch of legal jargon. You just told us that you're talking to all the right people, but you don't know what to do.
And then they interject, randomly, Robin saying everything fell apart when we moved to Flagstaff. Okay.
With that level, Brooke, tone it down a little. That was too much.
Too much enthusiasm.
That was too much enthusiasm for Robin. You want to turn that down a little bit. And do you notice that every time they talk about moving to Flagstaff, we were drummed out of Utah to go to Vegas, and then we were in Vegas in that cul-de-sac, and that was a great situation. And then we moved to Flagstaff, but there's never a discussion about why you were Can you explain? We know because we know.
Yeah.
So, but that's the thing is that. That's the part about Robin that makes me crazy. It's like, part of this, you're omitting big facts of the story. You're taking things out of context. Like, that's not the complete story. So anywho.
Yeah.
Oh
So then
God.
Cody
Okay. This is the
regales
pawn section.
he regales Justin with pond stories. And Justin, you could see he's sort of looking at like he's like, what pond? What this is a pond? And what he looks really confused.
Well, first Cody tells him about how being a monogamist is weird. He's telling the real estate agent, I was a polygamist, but now I'm a monogamist. And oh God, it's just so weird to be a monogamist. I mean, oh my, And then we talk about just the second or third time I've ever gone skinny dipping. And it's like, that's not skinny dipping. Being in your underwear is not skinny dipping. I hate to tell you this. And, oh God.
Yeah, he's just becoming nonsensical. I mean, he really is. Like he's just talking and talking and talking, and it's just nutty. And then, Justin's like, well, okay, gotta go. He just can't wait to get out of there.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And then this is when we see Cody again, and he starts yelling about how, like, we're back to him ranting about how he has all this to do and the women left him with the bag. And he's like yelling at the women going, you all do the paperwork. If you want this so badly, you do the paperwork. And then we go back to Meri. Meri's like, my name's not on it.
Right. His
douchebag, you put your name on everything. That's why you have to do the paperwork.
You're the only one who can do it. Meri's only a 1/3 owner of a 1/4 parcel. So
she can't do squat. I mean, and that's the other part of it too. And I am sure they have pointed that out to Cody more than once, but again, that never comes out. So,
right.
All right. So now Salt Lake City, we go back to Salt Lake.
Moving day.
Yeah. They're moving again.
But this is the first time they're moving not, in a crisis.
Yeah.
Like literally the first time in their lives that, it's not like, oh, we've got to get out of here in the middle of the night. We got to go, got to move to Flagstaff before school starts or whatever. So it's very different.
It's true. And even Christine mentions that. But yeah, she talks about finances with Cody. It was his way, or he would talk until you gave in. And she's just being with David is just so refreshing because David, is like, hey, you want to do this? Great. Go for it. Because I get the sense that based on what Christine's saying is she's the one financing this. Like it's her money.
And she picked it out herself. He hasn't even seen it. She's, she bought it on her own. She made the decision, And I think he did this on purpose, knowing, because she probably said, do you want to come look? And he probably said, no, this is your project. You go do it. You'll make the right decision. I trust you. I think he did all of this on purpose to build her confidence.
Yeah. Which is, again, very, very kind and very nice.
Yeah.
What a crazy way to be.
Crazy concept.
Yeah. To support your wife and, champion her and tell her that's great and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So, yeah, I will say, but that is true. That was a calm move. But even then, I'm like, God, you still not hiring movers?
I know. She's got Peyton and Tony and McKelty and David's sons or son-in-laws, or I don't know who they are. Yeah. I don't know. I think they just figure, we have all these people. We know how to do this. They'll save some money, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. So we go back to Parowan, where we learn that Meri's gone on a few dates. Very exciting. So she's kind of trying to figure out what she wants. And we know that she wants someone that's taller than her, and she wants someone older than her, or someone around her age. It's interesting because I was like, God, I think that if I got divorced, I think I would try to date someone younger. I think I would try to, do you know what I mean? I think that I would try to find somebody, it sounds like Meri's very active and running around and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, do you really want a 60-year-old, 65?
Yeah, because I
was surprised to hear that.
Yeah, in 10 years, she's only going to be, 62. And this guy's going to be 75. She's going to have to be like taking care of him.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, don't go too old, Meri.
That's my whole thing. I think I would like someone a little bit, not like a 20-year-old.
No.
I mean, someone that's like maybe in their 40s or mid-40s or something.
Oh, well, 30s, I think a little young.
Okay, 40-something.
I would say, you know what? I think the more important thing is I think someone who has already done the things that she's done, who has kids who are grown out of the house,
been married and
been married before, has been a parent.
Just like David.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah. And then this is when I audibly gasped.
I know what you're talking about.
Oh my God. Brooke, would you like to tell us?
Okay, so apparently they showed Cody the tape of, Jen and Meri talking about this. And Cody says, Meri wants an alpha male, but she also wants to be in charge. How's that going to work? Meri needs to ditch all those mean girlfriends and find a guy if she really wants love. Ditch those bitches because he won't put up with that.
Wow.
Calling women bitches in a very mean, misogynistic context.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So, and this is, it just feels like he regurgitated this from some website somewhere, because this whole idea of wanting an alpha male, I think this is a sort of what's the word for it? Like known thing that again, like that they want, women want an alpha male. They want someone who's strong, but they also want to be in charge. So we don't know what to do. And it's like, no,
that's not true.
That's not true. It's like, we want somebody that's going to take charge because they're taking charge, not of our whole lives. We want someone who's going to, when they do something like David, follow through. That's what we want.
And to be supportive.
Yes.
When you need support.
Yeah.
And to let you do your thing when, you're doing your thing.
Yeah.
I don't know what is alpha. He just thinks he's an alpha because, he's just so goddamn, macho. And even though he's not, he's a big fucking crybaby.
Yeah. Well, so this is, she wants to be in charge. And so, and of course that's a bad thing. Mm-hmm. And then this whole thing about dumping the women. And we've seen since the divorce how much Meri has needed these women. Mm-hmm. And I think he's pissed at these women because I think he's realizing on crap, it was Jen who probably has been telling her, oh God, my meal ticket's gone now.
Yeah, he's watching Jen give Meri the strength and the support.
Yes.
To be able to leave him, even when she's kind of like, well, I want to leave him, but I don't know. And then did I do the right thing? Jen is like, no, you did do the right thing. No, you're not going to do that. That's what he's really pissed about.
And my guess would be that what Jen said to Meri was probably in a contradiction of the crapola that Robin had been feeding Meri. Do you know what I mean? I think Robin had been in her ear for so long saying, no, he loves you. He wants to be with you. This is the family, the porch. We got to do this. And then when Meri started to when she had Jen and Jen was sort of like, no, Meri, I think that's the other thing too, is he's pissed that she contradicted, his precious Robin. But this is where Meri says, Jen has been more loyal to me than anyone in this family.
Yeah.
And I'm going to keep the person who is loyal to me. I'm sure Cody understands that. Mm-hmm. I was like, ooh, I'm loving these digs. I'm just loving these digs she's getting. Because I had to rewind it. I was like, hold on a second. I was like, oh, yeah, she's commenting on Robin and how Robin's so loyal. Right? It's like, yes, Meri. Yes, you get in there.
But, remember, he used to call Meri loyal. Mm-hmm. And I think that was one of the things that he liked about her. Mm-hmm. And it's something he likes about Robin. Yeah, this guy, it's all about loyalty to him. It's all about kissing the ring.
Yeah. Well, and also the other thing, too, is it's so interesting that he's calling Janelle a nag. Of any wife that he had, Janelle was the one that was like, oh, yeah, do you, bye. So again, it's convenience. It's 1 minute sis. It's wherever the wind blows. It's classic narcissism at its finest. But I could not believe that he said that, ditch those bitches. And that basically you need to, basically saying you need to be a certain kind of woman if you want to have a man.
Right.
That's why you don't have a man.
Right. Can't be a nag, can't be a bitch. And it's kind of surprising. He knows that this is going to be on television, that he thinks that it is okay to call her friends bitches.
Yeah. And he recorded it and he went home and he's had a year to think about it. And not once did he turn back to Pedal Monkey and be like, listen, I've been thinking about that comment I made. I feel awful. Can you please take it out? And I think they would. I think they really would have. But that means that he was okay with that staying in. You know, he said it. He was okay with it. And so this is really what this man thinks. This is truly what he thinks and believes and how he feels about women. This guy who is so, I have 4 wives and I'm so this is how he thinks about women. So, but yes, Meri's looking for someone who matches her energy, not a polygamist. She's not going down that road again, which I think would be very good, Meri. You deserve better.
No. So back to Salt Lake.
Yes. And it's snowing.
Snowing hard. Yeah. And they got to get on the road before the road gets too snowy. They're talking about that.
Yeah, he and she, they're so cute with their little desks pushed up against each other and like with their big, and David's kind of looking over the monitor, like to look at her. And Peyton comes in and tells us how much Christine has changed. And he said, she's changed a lot. And he said that she hasn't changed who she is, but that she's doing a lot more of the things that she wants to do. And he says, David is a phenomenal support to my mom.
Yeah.
Like, okay. Oh, this is killing Cody. This is just fucking killing him.
And then they show this weird thing when Peyton's talking. They cut to this footage of Cody dressed in all black, kind of, workout type gear.
Oh yeah,
like riding a bike really hard. Like with his visor on this bike on a dirt road. The stock footage of him that they filmed for something. He's just cycling hard. And I saw someone on TikTok that this episode must have gotten out.
Yeah, people have been talking about this episode, and I don't know how. Yeah.
So they put up the picture of the video of Cody on the bike, and then they cut to the Wicked Witch from the Wizard of Oz on her bike, like going really fast down the street before the tornado. It was so funny.
That's what it is. I think Puddle Monkey hates him now. I think they're like, what is the most annoying footage we have of Cody? You remember that day he made us film him on his bike? Let's just throw that in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super funny.
Oh, and then we get into this whole Sister Wives closet thing. So Christine says that she loves being the boss. And David, who is so secure, David, what a crazy idea. David loves Christine and is very secure within himself. So guess what? He doesn't have to be in charge of this. He doesn't have to say anything to her about it. He lets her be the boss.
He trusts her. Yeah. And also too, it's her project.
Yeah.
Like if she's putting the money into it and she's the vision of it, then don't be telling her what to do. Cody would be micromanaging it, telling her, don't do this, do that.
Well, and then this is where Robin says, well, I started a business. And I'm like, let's back up here. Okay. This is not what was sold to us at all. Do you know what I mean? It was always sold as this family business, family business, family business, family business. So now she's rewriting history. She's like Cody. She's rewriting history and telling us how she started a business. And then she sort of glosses over. She and Meri were on the same page, but Christine, Janelle, and Cody were on a different page. And yeah, I mean, what else did you say anything else about it? I just thought that was weird that she sort of said she started it.
And then Cody says that he's embarrassed that he didn't take the lead. Meaning that it wasn't successful because he didn't take the lead. And then he says sister wives aren't supposed. It failed because sister wives aren't going to work together.
Yeah. He basically said that polygamy doesn't work unless the male is the leader. We've heard him say this before.
Yeah.
And that the problem with the sister wives closet, the business that Robin started, is that a wife can't be a boss of another wife. that the wives won't
it's too much
listen
strife.
to each other. That wasn't the problem with Sister Wives Closet. I'm sorry. It was the designs.
Yeah. Well,
It was ugly.
Yeah.
And it didn't work. It just to sell sister wives, people don't want to be a sister wife. They don't want that.
No.
That's the mistake that Robin made, is people don't want that. But they're fascinated by the show.
Yeah. And Cody, he wasn't into it either. He was just trying to, humor
Make Robin happy.
Yeah. And this is where Janelle talks about her business, which I assume was Plexus. She said she didn't share it with the family. She took it with her.
Mm-hmm.
Cody is pissed. The family helped fund it. And they're not getting any profits. Well, it's all Cody's upset.
Well, what do you think? Do you feel like Janelle should? I mean, this is the part about this whole family fund that is all effed up is, again, they did not have set, much like moving and every time they have to leave the house, there is no plan. Like, that was the thing. If you're going to have this family fund, then you all needed to put money into the family fund and run it one way. I think part of what this problem is that I think most likely maybe Janelle did take money from the family fund to start up Plexus, but but there's no right. She does. I think she has the right to take it. I mean, I get why Cody's mad because he's probably thinking about how they helped her start it, but you didn't have any contract in place with her. And that's why all of this is so effed up right now. Right.
There's no contract about Coyote Pass and who put in what and who's entitled to what. But money was taken out of the family fund, to pay for Robin and her house and all this kind of. It's like, don't start complaining. You've taken plenty, Cody.
Yeah.
You're holding this property hostage and you've taken more than you've given. And so, leave Janelle alone. Like, you didn't do shit to help the Plexus thing get off the ground. Even if she took the money from the family fund, it was successful because of her.
Yeah.
It's not just about the money that you automatically are going to, do well when you pay to buy into this thing.
Well, and I also wonder, as the years have gone by, I wonder, has Meri been giving less and less of her money into the family fund? Is this also why Cody hates these women, these bitches,
I'm sure at a certain point she stopped because people weren't even speaking to her, They weren't going to her house. They weren't speaking to her. That she wasn't part of the family. Well, everyone was. Yeah. So I hope she did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So anyway.
And then I didn't know what I meant by this. I wrote this down that Cody said, "I'm not being dumb here, but I'm dumb here." I can't remember what I pertain to now.
I just wrote down that he said Coyote Pass was supposed to be their Shangri-La.
Oh, their special place, quote unquote. This is supposed to be our special place. Okay.
That's about it.
We do see scenes from next week of Cody and Robin and the kids using the property for entertainment, building a fire.
Yes.
Camping, doing whatever they're doing. So
cha-ching.
Yeah. But
now he says he's having second thoughts.
Yes.
And the funniest part was where their picnic table and little fire pit is right next to a ginormous pile of wood, like a tree trunk, huge pieces of like a tree trunk that's just been cut up, and it looked like very old, like it had been sitting there for several years. So that's probably a tree that he cut down years ago and cut up, and it's just sitting there.
Yeah. That's any day now he's going to put it away. Right. Yeah. Well, people were commenting on how last week's episode that when he was cutting the tree, that everyone could see like under the house that there's like, apparently he has so much crap at that house.
Yeah.
I bet you anything. And what I also wonder if he buys equipment and just takes it to Coyote Pass and doesn't tell Robin. Do you know what I mean?
Like he's hiding it.
Yeah. Like hiding the shoes under the bed, like don't want them to know kind of thing. So I do wonder if that's what he's doing, but he seems like a real hoarder. Like it, I don't know if you saw those pictures, but apparently there's a bunch of crap there. And it's like, you have 14 acres of land here, and now you're making that a giant hoarder pile of stuff. Yeah. Like, I wonder if there's a lot more stuff on there than what was filmed.
Than what we saw.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we just saw that one area, and it looked like it was the pad where they put Janelle's RV. Yeah. So now he's having second thoughts,
Yeah.
because this property is just so special. And it's like, no, you just don't want to, you're now doing this out of spite. You don't want Meri and Janelle to get anything out of it. And you're just fucking with them.
Yeah. Well, and I also think that what he's really lamenting is the fact that I'm not in control anymore. Like what he's sad about when he looks at Coyote Pass, he's like, he keeps talking about this big family. It's like, no, I'm not in control anymore. I'm not the star. I'm not the one with all the attention. I don't have this. I'm not special. I talked about this last week, which is being a polygamist made him special, made him unique. I'm not special. I'm not this anymore. This quote unquote dream that we had is gone. I am not liked anymore.
Yeah, people are talking smack about
me. And that's what he is sad about. That the mask has fallen down and that we are seeing, we're really seeing, and the women are talking and we are really seeing what's really going on here for the first time. And you don't like that.
Yeah. And they say Meri and Janelle are teaming up.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. I was like, yes. Good. Yeah. So
it's all happening. And then we see David and Christine pull up to the house in Moab. But Christine does say that she's nervous because David, he's been doing drywall for 40 years and he's a real perfectionist, about the construction and all this kind of stuff. And so she's afraid that he's going to criticize stuff in the house or something, which
I think it was more of maybe she was worried that if he sees, I would assume that you have to be a bit of a perfectionist, right? And so maybe if something wasn't matched right or, things that someone who was a drywaller would catch, but the rest of us wouldn't.
Right.
I think it's that. I think she's worried about his professional eye. I don't think she's nervous about that. But it looks like he walks in and thinks it's gorgeous. Like he's very positive about the whole thing. And again, I think who David is not somebody who's going to be like, see, that's wrong. I think he's going to be like, okay, that's a little off, or maybe we should fix that. I just don't get that vibe from him at all.
Yeah. The thing is, their relationship is going so well. They have to find some drama, so the drama is that there's going to be some imperfection.
Yeah.
Slight imperfection on the wall. And David's going to be like, well, I'll have to fix that and he'll have it done by tomorrow.
Yes. And guess what? He'll fix it, get it done, and not leave all the tools around and clean up. And guess what? Not tell you about it all the time and not ask for a bunch of praise for doing it.
Right.
See, that's the other thing too, is I bet you there had to be so much cheerleading with him too. Thank you so much for doing that. Thank you. Like, oh my God, I'm so happy. Like to get him to do anything. And when Christine talks about David being in drywall for 40 years, she's like 40 years, like to have a job and a career that
for 40
long.
Years. Yeah.
Like, wait, you haven't moved 17 times? Yeah. So, all right. We're now an hour and 15 minutes in to a show that is technically 42 minutes. So.
Yes. Well, a lot happened this week.
This was a good episode. This was really good. See, people were nervous. People were nervous last week with the wedding, the repeat of the wedding. And so Puddleman thought, we're going to give it to you.
Yeah. Yeah. They're making up for it.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. If you want to hear more from us, you can check out our Patreon, or you can subscribe to the show, leave us a 5-star rating and review, or follow us on social media at TikTok and Instagram at PsychLegalPop. Thanks so much, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.